If you're applying to Cambridge Economics this year, then watch this video. You probably have a ton of questions around the TMUA, about the personal statement, about the interview, but I promise if you stick with me, I'll show you how to be this little orange guy right here and not one of these 6 blue guys that don't get an offer. And if you're wondering who I am, then I'm currently studying economics at Cambridge University. And on top of that, I also got an offer from LSE Pure Economics. And on top of that, I also got an offer from Imperial Finance, Data Science and Economics. Now, the first issue I see with a lot of people's application goes all the way back to their predicted grades. And these normally come from mock exams and sometimes class tests depending on the subject and the school. But let's play a little game here. Let's say you're the university, you're Cambridge, and you see 3 applicants. One guy comes in with this, one guy comes in with this, and one guy comes in with this. Now, as a university, if you have no other information on these kids, then realistically, you're going to pick the last one. Looks the most impressive, right? But the issue I have is that a lot of people come in as the second one and think that they're guaranteed to sort of get an offer. And this was one way of illustrating my point, but actually I'll show you a graph that you've probably never seen before, but illustrates the point in a different way. So what this graph shows is the difference between your actual 3 A-levels and your predicted grades. And 0 here represents you getting your predicted grades. So as you can see, that's about 16% of people. But clearly that's not the highest bar on this chart. Actually, -1 and -2 are much higher than 0. So what does that mean? That means that if you got -1, you were over-predicted a grade for your predicted grades. And as you can see, the number of people getting over-predicted 3 entire grades in their top 3 A-levels is the same as the number of people that actually hit their predicted grades, which is insanity. So let's think about this through Cambridge's perspective. Let's say you're that second candidate that I showed you a minute ago, and you're predicted those 3 A stars and an A, you're handy dandy, you think you're going to get in. And bear in mind the minimum offer level. Now, looking back at the graph, it was for the top 3 A-levels. So for now, I'm just going to cover up this A. So what you're left with is a AAA star predicted grade. And let's say that you're in that very high likelihood, the big category of people that miss their offer by 2 grades. Then what are you going to get? Well, you're going to miss out on those 2 A stars and you're going to end up getting an A star and 3 A's, which doesn't hit the minimum offer level. Now, a lot of people will come up to me and say, Shrey, you covered up the last A level. So doesn't that mean that applying with 3 A levels and 4 A levels is the same thing? And I'm sorry if you don't sound like that, by the way. That was just my impression of the kind of person that would say that and what they would sound like. So the real question is, do you need those 4 subjects? Well, let's say you apply with 3 A levels and you get 3 A star predicted. Then Cambridge knows you're on average going to be over predicted by 2 grades. So you take off those 2 A stars and hey presto, you've missed your offer again. But now let's say Cambridge is actually a smart cookie and they realize that if you apply with 4 A stars, that probably means that you are able to show and demonstrate to your school that not only can you handle 3 subjects, you can also handle a 4th, which means that you have more breadth of subject knowledge, that you're probably overall a stronger candidate, and on top of that, you're probably less likely to miss the offer because you just have more ways you could mess up and still hit the offer. So let's say you miss these last 2 A stars, then you'd still hit the minimum offer level. And I've talked to a lot of you guys. A lot of you truly, hand on heart, fully believe that there's no way you would get anything less than all A stars in your actual A levels. And you know what? Maybe in your very special snowflake scenario, that's true. But I have personally seen so many of my best friends missing out on their offers, all of whom truly believe they were going to get all A stars and not getting their firm choice just because of A levels. So if I've personally seen it dozens of times, do you not think these universities, which get tens of thousands of applications every single year, they have not seen it thousands of times as well? Now, I know that the plural of anecdote is not data, but I've talked to most of the Cambridge econs from our year, and most of them took at least 4 subjects. Every single person that applied from my school that got an offer was predicted 4 A stars. And that just shows me, if it's this black and white, this is definitely something that Cambridge cares about. So you should make sure that you have 4 A-star predicted. One of the most common questions people ask me is, do I need to take further maths? And just like the rest of this video, I'm not going to sugarcoat the answer. My answer is one word. Very simply, you need to take further maths. This is because 93% of people that get into Cambridge economics have taken further maths. And there's a very good reason for that. Take a look at one of the slides that was shown to us 1 month after joining Cambridge. Do you think if you haven't taken further maths, or you're not insanely cracked at maths, that you're going to understand what's going on in this? No, of course not. To students whose schools offer further maths to people, but they either didn't offer it to you or you chose not to take it, I would recommend you do not apply for this course. If they didn't give you further maths, there's a reason for it. They probably thought that you were too weak at GCSE maths to cope with the A-level further maths requirement. And honestly, do you think that you're going to enjoy or understand this degree without having done further maths? This degree is more maths than economics. On top of that, if you chose to not take it, then even if you have the ability, you just won't have the fundamental concepts required to enter this degree with the same level. You're just going to be below everyone else because you don't have all of the fundamentals covered from further maths. So you're just going to struggle, and I would rather you do well at a different university and enjoy your time there than just struggle at this stuff for 3 years straight. Now, a very common follow-up question that people have after the further maths one is, what other subjects should I take? Now, it's very clear you're applying to Cambridge economics, so you should take economics. And if you didn't, my question would be, why didn't you take it? It's one of the most popular A-level subjects. Almost every school will offer it. So if most of these people aren't even applying to economics related degrees, they just took it as an extra subject, then why are you applying to Cambridge economics without having taken it? So assuming that you've taken economics, maths and further maths, then what's the 4th subject that you should take that, I keep talking about? Well, it honestly doesn't matter at all. You could take physics, you could take history, you could take chemistry, you could take anything that interests you. Just make sure that you're predicted an A-star in it. So just do whatever subject you think you would enjoy and find the easiest, and you could convince your teachers that you deserve an A-star. Just take that subject. I took physics personally, but it had almost no relation to anything that we're doing here, so it's not really relevant. And a lot of other people took different subjects, and they all ended up here anyways. But taking the 4th subject is important, doesn't matter what it is. Do I need to get all 9s at GCSE to get into Cambridge? Now, a lot of people before applying think the answer is yes, but as a Cambridge student, the answer is absolutely not. About 1,200 people get all 9s at GCSE, but Cambridge gives out about 5,000 offers every year. And on top of that, from these 1,200, some of them will apply to Oxford and some of them won't even apply to Oxbridge, which means that the minority of people here at Cambridge have all 9s. Now, one thing I would say about GCSEs, though, is that Cambridge looks at them contextually. And what that means is that they're going to look at your school's average and they're going to look at your grade and see if it's above or below. And obviously, you want it to be higher than that. Now, that means that if you go to a really good school, then if the average is really high, then it's going to be quite tough to beat that. But if you're below that, it's going to look pretty bad on your application. Now, another thing that one of the admissions tutors for an Oxbridge college told us is that they basically consider 8s and 9s as the same. Now, this might not be the same for every single college at Cambridge, but in general, they're kind of using the old system where A stars are like the new 8s and 9s, so they kind of count as the same. So, in terms of the average Cambridge Econ applicant, we're looking at about 9 8s or 9s, about 1 7, and about most of them don't have a 6 or below. By the way, since you're 10 minutes into this video, I have a little gift for you. So let me show you. If you've gone on the Cambridge Econ website, you'll see it says all applicants for economics are required to take the TMUA. Now, when I was applying for Cambridge, I knew the TMUA was important, but I didn't realize just how important it was. It's pretty much the biggest decider on if you get in or not. And I'd still bought every single TMUA book I could get my hands on, And honestly, most of these were not very useful. And I was wondering, why are there no good TMUA resources? So that's why I decided for the last year to create the ultimate TMUA platform for people applying to Cambridge. It tells you your weakest topics and then gives you questions to master those. It even has fully interactive graphs so you can fully visualize each question. You'll also get additional tutoring from students who scored in the literal top 1% of the TMUA. And you'll even be invited to a crash course right before the exam. And if all of that wasn't enough, if you don't score within the top 25%, you'll get all of your money back as long as you hit the effort requirements, which are not very hard, by the way. So if that sounds interesting to you at all, then go to the first link in the description, tmua.co.uk, and you can take a free baseline test for paper 1 and paper 2 and see your weaknesses for free. So getting back to this, does Cambridge care about finance work experience? A lot of people want to put this in their personal statement and, show that they care about finance. Does Cambridge care about that? Absolutely not. So I think even I fell prey to this. I did write like 1 or 2 lines in my personal statement about doing some work experience. I wouldn't say it's useless. It's actually one of the most useful things I did. It helped me understand where in finance I wanted to go, or if I even wanted to go in finance. It was really useful, but it's just that Cambridge won't care about it. They care much more about your super curriculars and how you're interested in economics. So this was part 1 of a 2-part series, and in the next part we'll be discussing things like personal statement, TMUA, and interview, which are some of the most important things. So if you're interested, click the video right there, and I'll see you right there.